Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. And in this lesson, I'll be profiling this clip from Fight or Flight Official TV's Instagram channel. And this is a clip they pulled from Steve Ram's YouTube channel. It says it was published on December 19th, 2024. And you can find the full episode on YouTube, Spotify or Rumble. But the title is Expert Warns Drones Are the Start of U.S. Going to War. Hey, with these drones, there's a lot of factors in place. The main narrative right now is that they're nuke sniffers because there's a loose nuclear material or a dirty bomb or whatever, floating around the country, and they're trying to catch it before a bad actor, sets it off, which that could be the case. It could be the case that your own government is about to commit an FF. And we also know that with these drone sightings, that really a lot of them are actually the chariots of the Most High, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs or UAPs. They're calling them glowing orbs. And a lot of them have been shooting down, these drones. So like I said, there's a lot of factors at place. But with the information that's going to be brought out in this short clip, a lot of what he says lines up with biblical prophecy, because major things are going to happen on the soil of the United States of America. There will be sleeper cells and foreign actors here, going to war with you U.S. citizens. And hey, you U.S. citizens are going to be fighting each other as well, because this is all the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai on America, which is biblically known as Babylon the Great, for all the wickedness you people, especially you Edomites or so-called white people, have been committing in it. And I didn't have this precept on my list, but read 2nd Esdras 8, verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter times, which we're currently living in, the last days, really the last seconds of the last days, for many great miseries shall be done unto them that in the latter times have walked in great pride. And even the lowest American out here, even homeless Americans are walking in great pride. And Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai hates pride. So, hey, those many great miseries are coming down the pipeline. And with us going into 2025, it looks like it's going to be an explosive year. But this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And again, you can find the full clip on Steve Ram's YouTube channel.
Close to war. I believe that whoever is commander-in-chief has an obligation to talk to the American people about getting ready for terrible outcomes. If a more ominous scenario,
which, at the last second, if that, the government's going to tell you American citizens what's going on, because your government doesn't give a damn about you. The majority of these politicians are in the pockets of the elites, such as the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, et cetera, and they want to create this chaos and have you Americans in a frenzy so that they can bring that order out of the chaos. Their NW0, their great RESET, having you people so, thrown off and desperate out here that you'll accept any solution, which is just more draconian measures and taking away more of your rights and making you that much more of a perfect little goyim.
Are in fact true, then Americans need to prepare for being on their own for quite some time. Because the detonation of a nuclear device on American soil will not only cause panic, but it will cause, at least for some time, an inability of government to take care of people. So people need to be able to have enough food, enough water. They need iodine pills. This is not a conversation that the American people have had for a
And for the average American out here, how many of you know about what a what a goddamn iodine pill is? Most of y'all just think, oh, is that iodized salt? The majority of you Americans are through, and you're gonna get judged horrifically.
very, very long time. So we have not fought an enemy on our soil on a sustained basis since the War of 1812. But it's very possible that that could very well happen now, especially because we have very disturbing indications of preparations for attacks on American installations. And these have been going on now for months. Our government has not talked to us about it.
And remember, during 2024, you had incidences here and there of U.S. forces and U.S. military bases, having attacks on them, small hit and run type attacks. And there was a major, I believe he was a U.S. general, that deleted 2 Eastern European migrants who came across the border, Biden's open borders, and were, spying around his premises. And then they've been arresting a lot of those Chinese for showing up around water treatment plants, U.S. military bases, taking pictures. While I said a lot of these situations are going to be FFs by the government, you do have a lot of these foreign, nations sending their troops and sleeper cells across those open borders, getting them ready in place so that when they get that call, they can get things bussing.
Our government has not taken adequate measures to protect our infrastructure and our military bases. And the American people need to know that this is a very precarious situation.
That's it with that clip. But, he said a lot in there. Americans should prepare for the government to not be able to help them for a season, get food and water and other amenities. And that, there are foreign actors over here, ready to attack critical U.S. infrastructure, and that the U.S. infrastructure is weak, and that a nuclear device may be detonated in the United States of America, which it will, according to biblical prophecy. But let's get to these precepts. First, I'm going to go to 2 Esdras chapter 6 in the Apocrypha, verse 22, because remember what he said. Americans should prepare for getting food and water and other amenities. Why is he saying that? Because whenever you see any of these major events take place, what always happens? People ransack, these grocery stores and other places and just hoard things. We saw it during 2019 to 2021 with the C019. So how much worse is it going to be when a situation like this happens and things don't go back to normal immediately? The power goes out and doesn't come back on for days, weeks, months. And our camp down here recently saw that movie Homestead, which, funnily enough, that movie started off with a limited nuclear strike in California, which they blamed on the Russians. And then the characters went to a grocery store, and you saw people, with 2 to 3 shopping carts full of goods. And some people saw that others had more, and they started to attack each other in the parking lots. But this is 2 Esdras chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses, these grocery stores, supermarkets, places where people get goods, shall suddenly be found empty, because people ransacked them, and due to a major situation to keep these trucks from delivering, those store shelves don't get replenished. A supply chain disruption. And also, with our delivery system here in the U.S., it's the just-in-time delivery system, to where when a good runs out, it gets delivered just in time. So it's inherently very flimsy. So again, when a situation happens to where the full storehouses are suddenly found empty and people ransack those shelves and they don't get replenished quickly, what do you think's going to happen? Friends are going to fight one against another like enemies. Neighbors are going to start attacking each other, especially if they see, you've got more than they do. Because brothers say it all the time. People around you are always observing what you're doing, what you're bringing into and out of the house, what you're putting in your trash can. And if they perceive that, look at all that food they're constantly buying at the grocery store, or look at that flat screen TV box they've got by the trash. They must have money. They must have resources. And I'm starving and my family's starving. So I got to go get it how I live. But this brings me to 2 Esdras 15 verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. And the modern day sword in America is that gun, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, food shortages, famines, the full storehouses suddenly being found empty, and for great tribulation, all these other calamities taking place during Jacob's trouble. So we see clearly in biblical prophecy that food shortages are going to be an issue out here, and people are going to be fighting against each other to take whatever they have to sustain themselves and sustain their families. So let's deal with the next point he was talking about how, there are bad actors in this country, and, America should expect to fight, foreign individuals on the soils of America, something that hasn't happened since the War of 1812. This is Jeremiah chapter 51. I'm going to start at verse 12. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, Babylon the Great, the United States of America. Make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes. And we know what an ambush is. When somebody who means you harm is waiting in stead to attack you when you're off guard. For Yahweh hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters. And America has the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean to her west and to her east. And also, when you read Jeremiah chapter 17, it talks about those many waters in Babylon the Great being many peoples. And America is known as the melting pot, where many different nations of people come. Abundant in treasures. Hey, even though this country's on the decline, it's still, the richest nation on the face of the earth and the highest consumer nation. Thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is ready to bring great judgment upon this place. Hence, why we see it declining ever more quickly on every level, economically, militarily, and morally. Yahweh of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men, preparing the ambushes. Like that guy just said, Americans should expect to face, a foreign adversary on the soils of America. And as I was saying earlier, with Biden opening up those borders, it hasn't just been Central and South Americans, Jorge and Maria coming across the border looking for a better life. They found Russian, nationals, Turkish, Chinese, Iranian, and African nationals coming across the country. And, there have been reports of some of them being arrested and having ties to foreign terroristic organizations. And also that border and local authorities have already confiscated nuclear capable materials coming across the border. So again, a lot of these things that are going to take place are going to be orchestrated by the government, FF, but then a lot of them too are going to be by actual nations that have been ready to go to war against America and have seen America's, weak position as an opportunity to get themselves prepared. Surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a great shout against thee, going to war against you Americans, blood running through the streets. Which brings me back to 2nd Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to jump up to verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. And woe means destruction. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another. And that one people standing up and fighting against another can go into many things. One race going against another, which there will be, racial skirmishes in this country. Yahawashi, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, said in Matthew chapter 24, nations rising against nations was one of the end time signs to look for. That can go into class warfare with the rich versus the poor, political warfare or civil unrest with conservatives going against liberals, or even those, average Joes or these patriot groups going against those in the government, and also, natural citizens going against those migrants or foreign adversaries. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, guns in their hands. But the last point I want to cover is what he said about how Americans, need to get iodine pills and prepare for a nuclear device to be set off in the United States of America, which is also going to happen. We could, see a dirty nuke be detonated in this country, but ultimately this country is going to be destroyed by the big boys, the major nuclear weapons from these major nuclear powers. Back in Jeremiah 51, I'm going to read verse 11. Make bright the arrows. And that's talking about nuclear missiles, because what do missiles look like? Arrows. And when the prophets saw these visions thousands of years ago, they didn't know what a hypersonic Zircon missile was, or the Satan II ICBM. So they had to describe it with the weapons that were available during their times, bows and arrows, spears and swords. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. And this isn't talking about the ancient Medes who were Japhetic. This is talking about the spiritual Medes, the Russians. Just as America is known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures, in some verses, Russia is known as the Medes. For his device is against Babylon to destroy it. And when you look at the fall of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, it wasn't destroyed by the Medo-Persians. Cyrus the Great ordered Darius the Mede to do a surgical strike on the leadership of the Babylonians, which he did, which allowed the Persians to just absorb, Babylon's territory into the Medo-Persian Empire. They didn't completely destroy it or make it desolate, because it is the vengeance of Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. But now I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse 17. And the header reads, Babylon will fall to the Medes. Behold, I will stir up the Medes, the Russians against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. And when the time comes for those Russians to turn those keys and shoot those nuclear missiles, no weapons bans or peace treaty talks or US dollar FRN notes are going to stop them from doing so, because it's the will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi. Proverbs chapter 21 verse 1. The king's heart or mind is in the hand of the Lord. He moveth it whithersoever he will, to fulfill his will. Verse 18. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. Again, speaking of those nuclear missiles and what? Those launch platforms or silos for them, because bows shoot arrows. And they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And those nuclear missiles, they're not going to discriminate. Anybody who's not of the elect of the nation of Israel in America, the 1/3. And Israel consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathens, are going to be fuel for the fire of those nuclear missiles. Not just you heathens, but 2/3 of our people who are wicked, just like these heathens. And Babylon, America, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, which was destroyed utterly by fire and brimstone from the sky. And when you read Revelation 11, verse 8, America is also known as spiritual Sodom. And it's very easy to see why this place is also known as spiritual Sodom. This is the number one nation that pushes that alphabet lifestyle onto the rest of the planet. Just look at what June is known as, Pride Month. So it's going to be destroyed by modern fire and brimstone. 200 million nuclear missiles, which are going to hit this place. And it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. Again, showing that this isn't talking about ancient Babylon, which is in Iraq, which is currently inhabited by many peoples. When those nuclear missiles hit, America, it's going to be turned into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland where man, woman, or child will never set foot on ever again. And after a time, only desert creatures are going to be able to dwell here, as it's about to say. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. And with that clip we just played, and what you're just hearing about more and more, and not just the alternative news, but in the mainstream as well, bad times are coming to Babylon. Her days are no longer being prolonged, and Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is about to bring great judgment on this place and you people in it for the great pride you've been walking in. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.